Welcome. Today, we're going to deconstruct the very mindset that builds empires, pulling straight from the core ideas of think like a billionaire. We're going to get into how the world's wealthiest people really do think differently and, how that way of thinking is the actual foundation of all their success.
So let's just start with a little thought experiment. Seriously, just for a second, ask yourself, if you had billions of dollars, not just millions, but billions, what would you actually do? What's the very first thing that pops into your head? Look, if you thought about a giant house, a fancy car, or a trip around the world, you're not alone. That's how most of us think. But the source material is crystal clear on this. The billionaire mindset doesn't kick off with spending. Nope, it starts with a totally different question. How can I make this money grow into an empire? And that single shift from consumption to creation, well, that's everything.
To really get this, we're going to walk through 5 key parts. First, we'll rewire our perspective. Then we'll dig into how they learn, see how they invest, and uncover the unwritten rules they live by. And then finally, we'll talk about how your journey can start, right now. Okay, so where does this all begin? Before a single dollar is made, before any deals are signed, the whole game is actually won or lost right up here, in your mind. Your perspective? That's the bedrock for everything else. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Wealth isn't the cause, it's the result. The book argues that becoming a billionaire is a mental game long before it has anything to do with finance. They don't just have more money, they're literally running on a different operating system. Right. Imagine you're holding a single 100-rupee note. The average person sees it and thinks, what can I buy with this? But the billionaire mindset, it sees a seed. The question is never, what can I spend? It's always, how can I multiply this? They just see potential where the rest of us see a dead end. So, we've got the mindset down. But how do you actually cultivate it? Let's jump into our second section and check out one of the most powerful learning tools out there, personal apprenticeship. This is all about learning the stuff you just can't get from a textbook. This is just pure gold. It comes from a story where a young kid asks a successful man for his secret. And this right here is the heart of the whole apprenticeship idea. It's not about what you read, it's about who you're around and what you absorb just by being there. The path is actually pretty straightforward. First, you find someone who's already where you want to be. Then you just dive into their world. Study how they think, how they talk, how they handle pressure. Offer to help just to get in the room. And the most important part, you got to leave your ego out the door and just be a sponge. And this leads to a super important point. This isn't a one-time thing. It's a lifelong commitment. The billionaire mindset truly believes that everyone, from the janitor to a competitor, has something to teach them. They are never, ever done learning. Okay, so we've covered thinking and learning. Now let's get practical. How does all this theory actually play out in the real world? We're going to dive deep into a case study the source uses to show these principles in action: real estate investing. First things first, you have to understand the most powerful weapon in an investor's arsenal: leverage. Now, most people see debt as a bad thing, a burden. A smart investor, they see it as a tool. They use other people's money, like bank loans, to control assets worth way more than their own cash, which just multiplies their potential returns. We've all heard location, 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 right? Well, billionaires have a twist on it. It doesn't mean buying in the hottest neighborhood today. It means figuring out where the growth is going. The book tells a great story about someone buying cheap land where a new metro line was planned. When it was built, the land value just exploded. You buy the future, not the present. And before a single rupee changes hands, a real investor runs through a cold, hard checklist just like this. This has nothing to do with falling in love with a nice view. It is all about the data. Is there demand? Are there growth drivers? Does this move fit the long-term strategy? And that last question is key. Is this a business decision or is it emotional? Billionaires always stick to the business. All right, so we get how they invest, but this mindset, it goes so far beyond just business. It's like an unwritten code, a set of non-negotiable personal rules that guide their every move, every single day. Rule number 1, and this is the big one: time is more valuable than money, period. They see their 24 hours as their most critical asset. Every meeting, every task, it's an investment. If it doesn't give some kind of return, knowledge, growth, profit, they just don't do it. Rule number 2 is all about emotional discipline. When the market is crashing and everyone else is running around screaming, that's when they get calm. That's when they observe. They know that fear and greed are the parents of terrible decisions. Staying rational when everyone else is losing their mind is a massive advantage. Next, they protect their energy like it's a fortress. You see, they get the huge difference between being busy and being productive. Busy is just reacting to things. Intentional is aiming your limited energy only at the things that really move the needle. And finally, rule number 4, always play the long game. While most people are stressing about this month's salary, the billionaire is busy building a blueprint for the next 10 years of passive income. With every big choice, they ask one simple question. Will this compound over time? They're not just planting seeds, they're planting entire forests.
So, we've walked through the mindset, the learning, the investing, and the personal rules. What's the big takeaway from all of this? I mean, where do you even begin?
And that really is the heart of it all. Being a billionaire isn't about the number in your bank account. It's a way of operating. It's a belief in yourself, an attitude of constant learning, and a strategy for long-term growth. The journey doesn't start when you have the money. It starts the second you decide to think differently. And that leaves us with one final challenge from the source material. Your first step on this path isn't investing a single dollar. It's making a decision. A decision to value your time, to learn from a master, to think long-term, or to see every problem as an opportunity. So what's your first billionaire decision going to be? Your journey starts now.